Yeah, that's right. It's your old pal, Tom Crowell, here to talk to you about St. Paddy's Day. I know this is kind of a break from what we normally do. It's not a Dr. Chatter, it's actually a Tom. But, you know, since I'm the creator, I thought I'd share a few things with you. It's this interesting time of the year. I'll get more onto where I've been in the next video. But here we go. Got a little special St. Paddy's Day treat for you. So, my mother's maiden name is McLaury. Now, many of you might know that name from the OK Corral. Two of the people killed at the OK, part of the Clank Gang, were Tom and Frank McLaury. I've been to their gravesite, I've been to Tombstone and everything. And I've seen newspaper articles that my family says are supposedly about these people and that we're related to them. But where does the name McLaury come from? Well, that's kind of an interesting story. The progenitor of my line supposedly was named Lavry, L-A-V-R-Y. Now, back then this was Ulster, the old name for North Ireland. And everyone that came after Lavry was known as Mick Lavry, or son of Lavry. Interestingly enough, it got changed to McLaury due to influences from both the Saxons and the English. Now, as we know, the Saxons don't really have a W sound that we would recognize, whereas Latin, when it came into Ireland, did have that W sound and represented it with the letter V. So that old phrase, veni vidi vici, was actually pronounced weni witty weechi. So Lavry would actually be pronounced Lewy. Now, funny enough, they do have that V sound which they use for their W, and W itself, whether written cursive with a curved bottom or pointed, as in a Roman numeral W, a Roman style W, that actually is because it's called W. It's meant for being two U's put together. So because of the Saxon influence in England when they took over during the invasion, things like V's became U's, and they made W's, and it just got crazy. But that's just a little brief etymology about my last name. So, speaking of my ancestor, over the past couple decades, I've been getting more into learning the true history of my Irish heritage, and have basically made a sort of cosmopolitan dinner based off of the old traditional, well, not so traditional, corned beef, cabbage, and potatoes. Now, of course, most Irish at this time were poor. They were being ruled over by England, and even when gaining their independence, they were still relatively modest for the majority of the Irish people. So they used mostly pork, not corned beef, which was more of a luxury, and you know, a lot of them didn't even use pork either because that too was fairly expensive. So the irony is the traditional corned beef, cabbage, and potatoes is not that traditional, but it's just gold when it uses corned beef in my recipe. If you used any other meat, I really don't think it turns out as well. But just so you know, just so you can experience it, here's the recipe. And that's about it. I tried to make this one short, but just gonna remind you, like my alter ego Dr. Chatter does, that knowledge changes the world. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, click the little bell, tweet about it. Heck, even start a fundraiser for me. I'm kind of poor. Just kidding. If I do that, it'll be like a Patreon. But see you in the next video.